I'm a huge fan of classic cars, so you might think that I would hate the fact that Ford put a Mustang badge on this bulbous electric crossover. But you know what? This electric car right here is one of the best that I've driven so far. Today, let's find out why. But first, I think we need a Mach-E montage. Okay, so I know, there's several of you that can't get over the fact that this is called a Mustang. But you know what? There were a few Mustangs of years past that probably should have been called Mustang either. How about the 1974 Mustang II with a 2.3 liter 4 that made just 88 horsepower? Or those early 4-cylinder Fox body Mustangs that couldn't even muster a 12-second 0 to 60 time? You know what? I actually love all those slow old Mustangs. I'd gladly have any of them in my fleet of weird old cars, but they certainly were not sporty. So if those vehicles could be called Mustang, I'm pretty okay with this being called a Mustang too. And this one right here, this one's actually pretty sporty. Even this California Route 1 edition, which favors range over performance, it's still no slouch. 0 to 60 in about 6.5 seconds. Yeah, not super quick by EV standards, but extremely decent for a new car. And the GT is way faster, coming in at 3.5 seconds. Okay, so the first reason why you shouldn't hate the Mustang Mach-E, it's because it's actually pretty quick. In the GT, it's among the fastest Mustangs ever built. All right, so let's talk about range. Oh, look who decided to show up. Late again, Eric.
Oh, sorry, I was just filming some TikTok videos with my cat.
Okay, well, I guess while you're here, you want to talk about your GT Performance Edition?
Sure. There's a couple of big differences between the GT Performance Edition, which this is, and the California Route 1. That starts at about $51,000. This is about $70,000, and let me tell you what you get for that extra $20,000 or so. Namely, you get a bigger front motor and a lot more horsepower. This makes about 190 more horsepower than that does. This is at 480, and also the torque here is double at 634. Also, since you happen to be pointing at the front of the car, we can talk about the styling, which is quite different here too. I've got this blacked out sort of tech grille with these funky hexagonal pieces going along here. I've also got an air dam along the front, this front splitter, and I've got functional air intakes here too, and the headlights are a little bit different. Those are the main styling differences. There also is a difference in range.
Yeah, what is the difference in range?
So this will do 260 miles on a charge. And what's that, Ethan?
That one actually does 305. So maybe if you're somebody that doesn't need all that performance and you want a little bit more range, you would go with this one. Like I said, 2021 model gets 305 miles of range on this California Route 1 edition. The 2022 actually gets 314. They've made some tweaks to make that possible. And I've read some independent sources say that you can actually even do better than that in this car. So if you're somebody with range anxiety, this one is probably the one to get. So yes, this is actually kind of a divisive design. Some Mustang purists hate it. Some people set in their ways hate it. It's not my favorite car design ever, but you know what? I think they did a pretty good job of Mustangifying a crossover. The front end, I think this definitely looks a lot better than the Tesla Model Y. It kind of looks like a Mustang with like a little mustache, but I think this is really unique. It's pretty aggressive. Some people said it kind of looks like a Ford Fusion, but I don't really see it. On the side profile, I actually think the side is probably the best looking angle of this car. It looks really sporty, it looks really sleek. They actually did some really cool tricks here with this black piece and this black piece up here to make the car feel a little bit sleeker than it actually is. All right, so let's check out these cool door latches. You just press the button and they open. I kind of wish there was a handle here like there is on the front door. It's pretty neat. It's actually, I think, in my opinion, better than the Tesla designs. Let's move on down to these wheels. Yeah, this is not the high-end version, so yeah, you got plastic wheel covers, but they actually still look pretty good. On to the back, you've got these taillights that this thing just looks like a Mustang. I think it looks pretty good from the back here. All right, so I'm not gonna convince everybody, but I think the second reason why you shouldn't hate the Mustang Mach-E is because it actually looks pretty damn good for a crossover. It's super unique and honestly just demands attention everywhere you go. All right, let's talk about practicality. This Mach-E has a ginormous frunk. You can fit a bunch of stuff in here. There's actually a drain plug. You can put ice in here and put soft drinks and shrimp cocktails, although I think shrimp's kind of gross. I wouldn't put that in here. And the newer models don't have this divider. I'd probably take that out anyway. So let's take a look in the back. Oh, here's the charge port. It's actually conveniently located in the front of the car. Now let's head on to the back here. So yes, a huge amount of space, not as big as something like a Volkswagen ID4, but there's a lot of space in here, especially with these seats folded down. Now this is not the high-end Mustang, so you do not have a power liftgate. It's a manual liftgate only on this one, but that's not that bad. So the third reason why you shouldn't hate the Mustang Mach-E is because it's actually quite good at being practical. All right, so what are your impressions with the interior of this car since you own a Mach-E?
I really like it. I think this is one of the best built Fords in terms of interior quality. The fit and finish is really high. The materials are really good. It looks way better than a regular Mustang.
Definitely, it also looks way better than like a Tesla Model Y. This is like Lexus level interior in here. I really dig it. So we should also talk about the comfort. I feel like these seats are pretty good. What do you think?
So I've got upgraded seats over these, but I find them actually very comfortable. They have good lumbar support. They really support me well. I've taken long road trips on them. I dig it.
And there's a lot of storage in here. This is pretty big center console. There's storage down here. You can even see lots of places to stow stuff. But we need to talk about this gigantic iPad display here, which is clearly Tesla inspired. You've used this a lot. What do you think?
I think it's pretty good, but it's nowhere near as good as Tesla. They've got a lot more engineering cycles into their development process. Their UI is better. I think this is good, but not as good.
Okay, one of the things I do like that Tesla doesn't give you is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You get that here, and it's kind of nice because you can actually make this CarPlay a very gigantic screen, and you were pointing out that you can actually see Apple Maps directions on this display in front of the driver, which is pretty cool.
That's right. If you pull up directions on your phone, it's going to actually mirror the directions to display in front of the driver. That's really cool.
Yeah, I love this interior. The steering wheel is really nice. It's not a yoke, which is good. And gigantic panoramic sunroof. What do you think about that?
I thought I wouldn't like it. I thought it would fry in the summer, but it seems to really reject the heat really well. So I kind of like it now.
Yeah, my wife thought it was a little ostentatious, but my daughter loved staring out of it. So it's pretty cool. Let's check out the back.
All right.
This is very spacious back here.
More spacious than I anticipated.
I know, look at the headroom, it's ridiculous. And my seat is positioned for myself at 6'3", and I can fit back here with no problem.
This would be great for a road trip.
Totally, and you get vents, USB ports, that's really nice. So I think we should probably go drive this thing.
Oh, wait a second. Oh, my cat texted me and we need to make more cat TikToks, so.
Oh, really?
Drive's on you.
Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna drive by myself, and we'll find out if there's more things about this Mach-E that you shouldn't hate.
He's hungry too.
Okay, we'll go feed him. 0 to 60 occurs in about 6.1 seconds, which by EV standards isn't really all that quick, but by just SUV standards is really quite quick. There's 3 different drive modes: Whisper, Engage, and Unbridled, which I guess if you want to take off that bridle, select that one. This is the mode you'd use if you want to push it a little bit on a road like this. And even this range-oriented model is still a lot of fun to drive. Yeah, it's not as fast as the GT or the GT Performance Edition, but it's still quite enjoyable. And actually, one of the things that I really like, one of the things that I love about the Mustang Mach-E is the steering. Yes, not everybody's going to be hustling their Mach-E down a road like this, but if you did, it's actually really good. And like I said, even this range-oriented model with not quite as sticky tires as the GT, not quite the same suspension setup, it's actually fun, like a lot of fun. So yes, one more reason why you shouldn't hate the Mustang Mach-E, it's actually quite enjoyable to drive. Okay, so here's one thing that you might hate about the Mustang Mach-E. One thing that's actually not my favorite is the ride quality, especially over bumps, over uneven pavement. It can feel a little bit jiggly, kind of like there's a lot of front to back motion, kind of like there's a really heavy battery pack underneath you that isn't really damped very well. So yeah, it's not awful, but yes, it's definitely gonna feel a little bit more unsettled than a lot of other SUVs. Now, if you opt for the GT Performance Edition with a MagneRide suspension, it does kind of fix that quite a bit. Now, in terms of efficiency, how this compares to a gas-powered vehicle, we get 94 miles per gallon equivalent on the highway, 108 miles per gallon equivalent in the city, and 101 combined. It uses 33 kilowatts per 100 miles, which is pretty decent. It's not quite as efficient as some smaller EVs, not quite as efficient as the Tesla Model Y. Now, this can do DC fast charging at 150 kilowatts. 0 to 80% takes about 30 minutes, but 80% to 100% is sort of excruciatingly slow. Apparently, Ford has a software update that they're working on to fix that, but right now, yes, from 80 to 100, it's not that quick. And of course, the charging network is not going to be nearly as robust as Tesla's supercharger network. Charging at home is pretty good because Ford gives you the included mobile adapter. So if you've got a 240 outlet, that can charge from 0 to 100 in about 15 hours. You can also do 110 if you need to in a pinch. They give you a little adapter. So if you consider the crazy high gas prices right now, that might be yet another reason to not hate the Mustang Mach-E. Even without these ridiculous gas prices, this is still going to be cheaper to operate per mile than most gas vehicles. So this California Route 1 edition with the optional star white paint and 18-inch wheels comes in at just over 51 grand delivered. And yet another reason why you might not want to hate the Mustang Mach-E is that it's still eligible for the federal tax credit. The Teslas are no longer eligible for that. Now, in terms of competition, you might be comparing this to a Tesla Model Y. This interior on the Mustang Mach-E really is on another level compared to the Model Y. Build quality is just so much better in this car. Also, this vehicle is just a lot more fun to drive. However, the Model Y does have it beat when it comes to range. It does have it beat when it comes to the charging network. Now, you might also be comparing this to the Volkswagen ID4. The ID4 gives you more rear cargo space. It's actually a pretty nice car to drive, but this one is a lot more fun and the interior is way nicer on this car. So yeah, I really, really like this car, and not just as an electric car. I like this just as a car. It's fun to drive, the interior is really nice. Overall, it's pretty awesome. Okay, so there are a few things about this vehicle that you might actually hate. The ride quality over bumps is a bit jiggly. To some people, this kind of looks like a Mustang coupe that had one too many Botox injections. And yes, the DC fast charging experience is not up to Tesla standards. But those are really small nitpicks for an otherwise excellent EV. You might be on the fence about electric cars, but they're not going away. You might be on the fence about this being called a Mustang, but it already sells really well. So yes, there's a lot not to hate here. It's decently fun to drive, even in this range-oriented model. It's super comfortable, gives you a ton of range, it's pretty efficient, and per mile, it's way cheaper to operate than a gas car. It's clear that electric cars aren't for everybody, but if you're getting sick of crazy high gas prices and you have a convenient place to charge, buying a Mustang Mach-E might be one of the best choices you can make. One caveat, this California Route 1 edition is extremely hard to come by. Inventory is low and demand is super high. You can't even order one of these things right now. So I guess maybe this is your opportunity to order that Shelby GT500 that you've always wanted. Me personally, I'm gonna troll Craigslist for that 88 horsepower Mustang II from 1974. If you like this video and you'd like to see more like it, please consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon so you can get notified of all my new car reviews, used car reviews, and updates on my fleet of weird and stupid old cars. If you'd like to help support the channel, please consider buying a t-shirt at helloroad.tv/shop or become a patron at patreon.com/helloroad. Be sure to check out Eric's channel at RevMatchTV. That's it for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you're well. Buying a Mustang I should just roll with it.